There you go.
Brian, the news came out yesterday about a rescue package. Just wanted to get your initial thoughts on that.
It's difficult to say too much just now until we know the final detail of it. And I think a headline figure was put out, which, to be honest with you, it's working out at 30 million being split between League One and League Two, with 15 million distributed to clubs, depending what division they are, obviously between the 48 clubs, and the other 15 million is being split based on lost gate revenue, which I guess when you look at, a Sunderland or a Portsmouth or an Ipswich, they'll probably get far more money than everybody else in comparison. My initial reaction was slight disappointment. I don't want to seem ungrateful, but I'm just being completely honest. The last League One meeting we had a couple of weeks ago, there was hope that they could turn the original 20 million into 50 million of all guaranteed grants. Now, basically, that 20 million guaranteed is now going to 30 million, so it's up 10 million. And I think the reaction, having spoken to a few clubs of similar size to us in League One, I think everybody's a little bit disappointed because we were kind of given the impression that there was a good chance that the 50 million, which then could be split amongst the 48 clubs, would have made a totally different situation to taking 20 million off that, and then some of it potentially being on gate returns. So listen, I don't want to sound ungrateful, because any money at the moment is great for us, but I do feel a little bit disappointed in how it's actually turned out. 30 million. I kind of hoped that it would be 50 million, which we were all told that would hopefully be the case. And I think the club's feedback to the last League One meeting certainly was that we needed 50 million between the 48 clubs and grants, and unfortunately that's not been achieved.
What does that support mean more specifically for a club like ourselves?
Well, I think if you work out, I think they're talking about 375 minimum payment to each League One club. But if you take, there's a wage cap in for everybody in League One, so we're all duty bound to pay no more than 2.5 million within players' wages. On reflection, if you're then looking at that 375, it's less than 2 months' wages. We've paid everybody from March full salaries all the way through COVID. We've tried to do the right things, and we've also tried to run the club sustainably in the right way at all times. So I sound ungrateful when I'm saying this, but when you're only getting less than 2 months' wages covered, and we've been good enough, and done the right thing by paying everybody full salaries for the last, 7 or 8 months or whatever it is now, 9 months, and even through the furlough scheme, the players, everybody's all had full salaries. Nobody's gone without their full salary. 1.8 months, I think it is, it works out as. So in perspective, that just puts it in perspective for me.
Do you fear this could be the only support that we get?
I hope not, but I think realistically they're trying to ask us to try and buy into this so that we can get this 375 grand. And I think a lot of clubs I've spoken to are really, really struggling. A lot of them have paid the wages last month. Some haven't paid the HMRC, and don't have the money, purely because they don't have the money to pay HMRC last month. We're all paying additional monies for HMRC just now because we got a deferment between March and June. So we're paying more than we are now, but we're worse off. I don't want to keep banging the drum about how hard it is, but it is. It's really, really hard in football just now. A lot of clubs are on the brink, and whilst the 375,000 might last clubs for 2 months, for example, what happens after that? It's short term, and even with the crowds coming back at 2,000, it's costing us all more money.
Some positive news though, a bit more back to normality. Fans in on Wednesday. How did you see the whole process go?
I thought it was brilliant, and hats off to Lawrence Ellerby, our safety officer, Mike Davis and Roger Groves, our SLOs, all the staff who pulled out the stops to make sure everything, that's the stewards, everybody, but also to the fans out there as well. Everybody complied, everybody assisted us, and we got a really good feedback yesterday from the Sports Ground Safety Authority, which is great from the point of view of going forward, that we feel everything's been there. People felt safe. The feedback we got again was they felt safer coming to football, and they did go into the supermarket, which they didn't think twice about. So I think that's really, really positive. The feedback we've got has been incredible. I've had quite a number of emails praising the club and the staff for everything, how safe they felt and how well it went. And I think at the end of the day, it was just brilliant to see fans back in the stadium, get a bit of an atmosphere about the place, because closed doors games just don't do it for me.
Suppose there's always room for improvement and nothing's perfect. Did you get any kind of feedback where we can look to improve things going into the next couple of games?
Yeah, there's a few things, to be honest with you, that minor things. I spoke to Lawrence earlier about it just to see, go through. There was a couple of things the Sports Ground Safety Authority said, which are just minor tweaks that we could probably improve on. You're always trying to improve. But, I mean, to be fair to Lawrence, he's done a fantastic job. You know, everything was laid out, everything was thought of. There are certain bits and bobs that we can probably improve on. And I think we've been hit a little bit with some people saying about single seats, more single seats in certain blocks, which is, you know, it might seem like an easy process, but it isn't actually as simple as that, you know, as it seems, because every single seat you create, you then lose capacity because you're taking away twos and threes, for example. You know, the first pilot with 1,000 went so well in the West Stand that we didn't have any issues with number of seat bubbles, etc. But, you know, we had a number of people saying that they couldn't get single seats and they were looking for single seats. But that's something we then need to have a go away, have a look at. It's not a quick process. We then need to, if we do revise the social distance stadium plan, we then need to get approval from the Safety Advisory Group and also the Sports Ground Safety Authority prior to implementing that. We're also trying to save a little bit on stewarding costs. So if we can we're trying to minimise the areas open to get the 2,000 in. You know, as I said earlier, you know, each game we have is costing us more and more money, stewarding costs, etc. But if we can minimise the costs, it helps us in the long term. But, you know, we're willing to look at the single seat issue and see what we can do, if we can do anything, and then try and get approval from the Sports Ground Safety Authority and the SAG to see if we need to try and tweak things to encourage, you know, help more people get single seats.
There's been lots of talk in the media lately regarding changing the law about alcohol and football. What's your thought process on it regarding Shrewsbury?
Well, we've been unable to sell any alcohol. You know, a lot of it, the guidance seems to be about indoor areas and you have to have a substantial meal. But then it was a bit of a sucker blow, to be honest. Nobody could give us any clarity whether we could sell alcohol in the mobile units outside the stadium. We were then told no, we couldn't. So it's been a bit of a, you know, I think a lot of people like to come and have a beer at the football or a wine or whatever it might be, you know, have a pre-match drink, meet their pals. And I think that's part of the matchday experience. We're already taken away because of the social distance plan and the regulations that people can't sit with their pals. So to be able to have a beer before the game, you know, doesn't help us with the matchday atmosphere and the matchday experience. Try and encourage people to come back along. A lot of people are out the routine of coming to games. It's now December, so the weather isn't great. So it's a wee bit disappointing, to be honest with you. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me that we can't sell alcohol in an outdoor environment when we've got 24 acres and it's all socially distant. As long as the plan's in place, and I'm hoping there might be some scope for a change in that in the future, because, you know, it doesn't help any of us not being able to offer drinks, alcoholic drinks, as well as soft drinks and coffees, etc., to the supporters that are coming along.
On the pitch now, it's been a very busy few weeks, a quick turnaround. Steve Cotterill in through the door. Why did you think he was the right candidate for the job?
I mean, I think, you know, we spoke about it at board level about, well, obviously when we spoke to Sam, which was very disappointing because Sam's a really good guy, good type, and took the news so well in his normal professional manner, totally understood our situation. But I think when we looked at it, we felt that we probably at this stage needed somebody with a bit of experience to come in. We've always gone through in recent years more of a younger up and coming one that can step up the levels, and we've had some success with that and some without success with that. But at the end of the day, we felt at this stage, you know, we're looking for somebody with experience. And you look at, you know, Steve's CV with 5 promotions, an EFL trophy win and 3 Manager of the Year awards. And to me, it was a bit of a no-brainer for us all to look for Steve if he was willing to come to Shrewsbury and keen to come to Shrewsbury. And we're just delighted that we managed to act so quickly. We're very grateful, as we said last week in our release, to Steve and to his representative to be able to tie things up so quickly. That we managed to do that in under 48 hours is quite remarkable. But it was a hectic schedule last week, games, etc. And Steve coming in, he is extremely work conscious. He's never stops off the phone, which is great. He's got a great work ethic, and you can see why he's had success over his managerial career, because he just wants everything to be right. I think as people get to know him and the fans get to know him, the 2,000 that were here on Wednesday night, we'll see how he is at the touchline kind of thing, and that's what he's like. He's a very honest type as well. So, I think Steve ticks every box for what we were looking for in a manager this time, to try and hopefully change our luck and try and get back up the league and improve things. And I think the second half and Wednesday night especially showed that hopefully we're on the right track, and we're unlucky to get a draw.
I imagine his experience will go quite a long way, given such a hectic schedule we've got, especially looking at December. There's some tough games in there.
Yeah, I think we'll get 9 games in December. Obviously, we've played 1 now, so we're down to 8. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the games are coming thick and fast. And the difficulty, I think, for Steve is that, from actually on the training pitch, when you got Tuesday, Saturday, you maybe training on Monday, you're often tend to be off on a Wednesday and then Thursday and then Friday. So he's got very little time for them. So if they're only training Monday, Thursday, Friday, it's getting that time on the training pitch to try and bring his ideas to how he wants to improve the squad and etc. So listen, I think we've seen in the last few days, when you think about Wednesday night, he's probably only had Saturday training session, Tuesday training session, game Wednesday, game Sunday. You look at it, he's not had a lot of time with the players, but he's one of these guys. He was at the training ground on Monday until 9:15 at night, and I think that just says it all about Steve. He just lives and breathes football, a real football guy, and he's had success over the years, and hopefully can bring success to Shrewsbury.
Thanks, Brian.